Welcome, 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 Travel Week readers. Thank you so much for joining us today for today's webinar. I am really excited for our guest. We have Men here from Scandinavian Airlines, and I am so excited to have them on. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. There's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen that you'll see. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, just pop them into the Q&A there. I'll then come on at the end of the presentation and I will ask any questions you have on his behalf. So please don't be shy and don't hesitate to leave your questions there. If you have any technical concerns or you'd like to chat amongst yourselves during the presentation, Travel Week readers, you can do that in the chat box as well. So please leave those comments in the chat and we can see those as well. And I think for today, that is all the housekeeping that I have. And so without further ado, I would like to pass the floor over to Men. Thank you, Men, for being here. How are you doing here today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for the introduction and thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Men Gorliku and I represent Scandinavian Airlines to its travel agent partners in Toronto and New York. So today I thought that we could talk about, SAS, who we are as a carrier, and that I could give you some tips on how to sell us to your clients. So some of the topics that I thought we could cover, again, just who we are as a carrier and a little bit of the culture behind SAS. I wanted to share with you this idea that Scandinavia starts at takeoff. I wanted to let you know where we fly and a little bit about what the onboard experience is like and what we are doing in terms of sustainability. And lastly, some SAS concepts that are relevant to you as travel advisors and where to find us later on. But before I go any further, I thought that I would show you this brief film that gives you an idea of who we are, where we've been, and where we're going.
For more than 75 years, we've kept Scandinavia connected to the world, and the world to Scandinavia. We've stayed at the forefront of what's new and have always looked towards the next horizon. We've seen the world change over decades, and sometimes all at once. Changes that have made us rethink and rebuild over and over again. That's why we're still flying. We keep heading into a future where change is never ending, and the need to rethink and rebuild is too. A future of conscious thoughts and sustainable ideas. A future we make possible. We fly because the world is moving and it needs our help to stay in motion. And we'll keep flying for at least another 75 years to come. We are SAS and we move Scandinavia.
Scandinavian Airlines, we're also known as SAS or SAS. We are the national carrier of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, where we have our hubs in Copenhagen, Oslo, and Stockholm. We are a founding member of Star Alliance that has been flying travelers between Canada, the US, and Northern Europe for more than 75 years. And it's worth stating that there have been many players who have operated in this part of the world where we fly to, but SAS is one that endures, and it shows our commitment to flying in Scandinavia. We have our frequent flyer program called Eurobonus. However, I would imagine that most of your clients are interested in accruing points with Aeroplan, which you can also do when flying with SAS. A few years ago, we launched a concept called Scandinavia Starts at Takeoff. And it is the idea that once you step on board an SAS flight, it is as though you are stepping foot onto Scandinavian soil and everything that that represents. A big part of that I have to attribute to our cabin crew. They are 100% Scandinavian, and I think what makes it such a wonderful onboard experience is attributed as well to the DNA of Scandinavian people. When they deliver service, it is in a way that is very professional, yet very warm and personable. I have heard countless stories from many people who have flown with us that have told me about how the cabin crew has gone gone the extra mile for them in a way that was incredibly warm. And that is something that I hope when your clients fly with us that they would get to experience. The mission statement of SAS is that when you fly with us, you are part of a community where you are going to experience joyful and easy travel experiences. I would say on the other side of that, the rest of our mission statement makes mention that we are building the foundation of sustainable aviation in the future. And I can talk to you a little bit more about that later on. So going back to where we fly, I mentioned our main hubs and a little bit of information about our hubs. So Copenhagen, that is our main hub, and that is where we have flights that connect to the rest of continental Europe. So flights to Western Europe, Central Europe, and Southern Europe. Think of destinations in that part of the world. Stockholm is our hub for connecting flights to Eastern Europe and the Baltics, which is another destination that we are very much invested in flying to. Oslo is our hub for connecting flights within Scandinavia. And I would say, while Helsinki is not our hub, all of our hubs have frequent flights to Helsinki. We are very committed and embedded with travelers that are flying to Finland. So we sort of claim them as well. And we know that they enjoy flying with us. From Scandinavia to Asia, we fly to Shanghai, Beijing, and Tokyo. And last but not least, North America. So in 2017, that saw the largest expansion in SAS's history. And a lot of that was done in the United States and Canada, where we now have 8 gateways total. So we have Toronto, Boston, New York, Washington, Dulles, Chicago, Miami, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. All of our gateways have direct flights to Copenhagen, and from Toronto, New York, and Chicago, we have direct flights to Stockholm. From New York, we have direct flights to Oslo. And this just gives you an idea of the frequencies of our departures, but just about all of them have daily departures. Just good to know, as travel advisors, we have interline agreements with Air Canada, United Airlines, and Alaska Airlines, which makes for very easy ticketing if travelers are starting their journey from the interior of Canada or the US. So there's no split ticketing involved. We make it very seamless when booking SAS. We make mention here that we launched JFK as a gateway earlier this year. So we cover all parts of the tri-state area if you have any clients that are based in New York. And we have 2 new routes from our Newark gateway, Newark Gothenburg and Newark Aalborg. So those are the second cities of both Sweden and Denmark, where there's lots to do as far as business travel as well as leisure. I would be negligent if I did not mention our hub cities as destinations in themselves. So Stockholm has an abundance of attractions, activities, world-class museums, and wonderful properties that I always look forward to staying at. If you haven't been, or if your clients haven't been, if I could recommend anything, a great way to orient yourself is going to Gamla stan. That is the medieval old town which Stockholm is built on. there's this wonderful photography gallery called Fotografiska that has an award-winning restaurant on its premises. That's something that I also recommend. And somewhere that I went to recently was the ABBA Museum. So even if you are not an ABBA fan necessarily, if you are someone that has an interest in contemporary music and what it's like to be a recording artist, it makes for a wonderful interactive experience. There's also a great cafe attached to it where you can get traditional Swedish meatballs. So I recommend that. I also went to the Avicii experience recently. So that's sort of like the more modern, younger side of the Swedish music scene that you could experience what it was like for the late musician who we lost a few years ago, tragically. And then there's Copenhagen, which is truly a fairy tale destination. It is the home of the Little Mermaid. So Copenhagen hosts Tivoli Gardens, which is where Disney World took its inspiration from. If I could suggest a good way of orienting yourself in Copenhagen, I love Nyhavn, which is a harborfront promenade where there are lots of terraces and cafes where you can have a drink and just people watch. And then there's nearby Stroget, which is the main shopping avenue where you'll find lots of international brands as well as some Scandinavian boutiques. I won't go on more about the destinations. I'll let my friends at the tourism boards talk about that, but it's just to make mention that these are wonderful destinations to experience. So beyond Scandinavia, this summer, we have like more than 30 new exciting destinations, primarily in Southern Europe. So think of destinations like Athens, Nice, Rome, Venice, Barcelona, as well as Split, Croatia. As I mentioned, in Asia, we just launched our second our second frequency rather, to Shanghai. So we're very happy that that part of the world is opening up. And this winter, we're going to have direct flights between Copenhagen and Bangkok. Very good to know for your clients is that we have free stopovers in both directions. So to give you an example of what you can do, you can depart from Toronto, go to Copenhagen and continue to Paris. And you can come back from Paris to Stockholm back to Toronto. So you can have up to 3 destinations in one booking. And this is included in the price of all of our fares. It's built into the fares. So what it's like on board, we have one of Europe's most modern fleets, and I could talk a little bit more about that later. We have a mostly all Airbus fleet. So on short haul, we fly mostly A320s, and on our transatlantic routes, we fly the A321 long range, which is a single body aircraft. I'm sorry, single aisle aircraft. And then we also have the A330 and A350. The A350 is our flagship aircraft. On long haul, we have 3 service cabins. There's SAS Go, which is the main cabin. Then there's SAS Plus, which is premium economy. And it's worth pointing out that SAS was one of the first carriers to introduce premium economy on long haul. And then there's SAS Business, which is created with the high-end discerning traveler in mind. And now I would like to show you a video of what it's like to be on board using the A350 as an example. So I thought I could go over a few details about the cabins in themselves. So this is SAS Go, the main cabin, and this is what it would be like for your clients. The minute they step on board, there's a pillow, a bottle of water, a headset, and a blanket. So unlike other carriers, they're not being charged for every single item as part of their journey. We make it truly welcoming from the beginning. This is what it looks like in SAS Plus, and this is the first row that you'll see there. On the A350, each row is like this as well, where there is a leg rest. So in addition to having extra space and more leg room, it's really about all the benefits that you get on the ground. So when you fly with SAS Plus, you are entitled to extra baggage. You also get access to any SAS lounge where we operated, as well as priority boarding and fast track security. Then there is SAS Business. As I mentioned, it's created with the discerning luxury traveler in mind. This is the configuration as found on the A330 and A350. The configuration is 1-2-1, so it's like you're in your own private pod. You're not climbing over anybody, and more importantly, nobody is climbing over you. Again, with SAS Business, actually, here's something to note. After the meal service, there's this area where you could come and mix yourself a drink, making a cappuccino and grab a snack. Some of my favorite crisps are right there. And on the ground, you have access to any SAS lounge, as well as our partner lounges and fast track security and priority boarding as well. So this is what the seat looks like, and you'll see that it is extra wide, extra large. On the A330 and A350, there's a shelf there for you to put your things, and there's a desk that slides out for you and an extra wide monitor, and it becomes this fully lie flat bed. So the bedding, as you see there, is created by luxury bed maker Heston's. Their entry-level mattress starts at $25,000, just to give you an idea of the attention to detail involved. Dining in SAS Business, I've been told, is like fine dining in the skies. So the focus is on new Nordic cuisine, and we source farm to table ingredients. And as well, our crystal is made by Swedish luxury crystal maker Orfors, and our flatware is by Royal Copenhagen. So SAS lounges are truly a fun place to be. I've heard from certain travelers that they almost missed their flight because they were having such a good time in the lounges. So in North America, we have our own lounges in Newark and in Chicago. Clearly, we have lounges at all of our hubs in Copenhagen, Oslo, and Stockholm. And for those flying in SAS Business, they have access to our partner lounges at our other gateways, and in Toronto, the Maple Leaf Lounge. So while we are a carrier, at the end of the day, we are a Scandinavian company where in this part of the world, we center our thoughts and our actions around the environment. It's worth noting that since the 1990s, SAS has referred to its annual report as the sustainability report. So since then, we have acquired a large body of knowledge on what it's like to fly sustainably. So in addition to reaching the industry-wide target of net zero emissions by 2050, we have also committed to the following. So by 2025, we will lower our carbon emissions by 25% compared to 2005. By 2030, we will employ 100% recycling, and we will also source up to 17% of sustainable aviation fuel, which represents our domestic fleet. When you're flying with SAS, it's good to know that you're already flying with someone who has done a lot of the work already. So starting in 2019, we started to invest and introduced a new fleet into our network. And you'll find the average age of our aircraft is around 6 years old. For a lot of carriers, the average age tends to be 10 to 15 years old. So naturally, these younger aircraft have less fuel consumption. And so far, we have lowered our carbon emissions by 20%. When traveling with us, I recommend for your clients to download the SAS app. So it makes for a great companion when flying with us. What's good to know is that you can track your baggage at all points of your journey. So you can see when it is scanned, when it is put on the aircraft and offloaded, as well as which carousel you could pick it up. So I know I traveled with someone recently and they found this to be one of the most reassuring parts of the trip. Also, when you can log in, you can see where you've traveled to some of your past journeys and some recommendations based on where you would like to go next, if it's a fun in the sun destination or a ski trip. So SAS groups is, I would consider that our group concepts tends to be very flexible, and we work very well with travel agents to make sure that they can pass on this information to whoever is coordinating the trip with great flexibility and lower commitments. So there's our email address there, and I'll make sure that we circulate this to you later on if you are interested in connecting with our group department. Just keep in mind, I think this may have been taken care of already, but there were some compliance issues from the Canadian authorities. So there may be some, how would you say, delays for certain travel advisors and getting their group requests, but very soon this will be taken care of. But if you have any questions about that, please just connect with me directly afterwards. If you would like to connect with us, I have some information here. This is everything related to how to book SAS and any concerns that you have as far as your bookings along the way. We will have this information in the presentation that I'll share with you afterward. And if there's anything that I can impart to, if there's one thing I could leave you all with, is to please go to our travel agent website. We have a dedicated travel agent portal called sassalesinfo.com. And there you can find out all the information related to ticketing. So if it's a name change, if you need a waiver, if you would just like some more training on SAS, we put everything right there. So as far as keeping in touch with us here, we're available on all of the major social media platforms. As well, we have our own website called Scandinaviantraveler.com, which is a great place to find inspiration on what to do for your trip, especially to Scandinavia. So this is good if you just would like some more tips on what to plan for your clients. So I will try my Swedish. Välkommen on board. I want to thank you all for joining me as travel advisors. I recognize that you all have a very privileged position in this industry because you bring the world to clients. So SAS, we look forward to partnering with you in doing that.
Thank you so much, Men, for that presentation. What an informative and lovely presentation. I definitely want to go visit some of these places right now aboard SAS. I also really loved seeing the massage chairs in premium class and the foot massagers. That's not something I've seen in a lot of premium classes. So very, very, very neat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I have just a few questions here. I'm going to run through some of them. And again, just so you know, travel agents, we are going to share this presentation with you. Men offered to send me a PDF version, which I will attach to the follow-up email that all the attendees today will receive. So you will have that. Let's see. We had, one was a comment actually about Bangkok as one of the destinations that SAS flies to. We just had a travel agent who was actually really excited about the fact that that was in your line of destination. So she was pleased to see that. And then I have a question, Men. And so you're the account manager for SAS in Canada as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I share the responsibility along with another colleague, and we take care of the travel advisors in Canada.
Okay, awesome. So that question came from Patrice. So Patrice, I will share your contact information with Men. And again, in the follow-up email, I'll supply all the contact information that you need to get in touch with SAS, including Men's contact information. So you'll have that there. And then I think there was a question about the Heston beds. Yeah, they just wanted to know how it was spelled. So is it HESTON''S or just Heston's, no apostrophe?
It's A with the umlaut, STENS, I believe.
Okay. Okay, Cheryl, that question came from you. So if that wasn't clear, you can let me know in the Q&A again, and I can try to get that for you. We can also include that in the follow-up email too. And then Michelle is asking, what is the email for changes to booking? So would that be under your jurisdiction as well, Men?
Very good question. So the best way, to my understanding, there's not a direct email if you need to make a change to a booking. The best way is to connect with our travel agent support or our customer support. So in the present, actually, let me go back to show you the phone number. So you'll see the two numbers towards the top. One is for the US and one is for Canada. That is the best place if you need to make a change to a booking to connect with us.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I have a question from Joan, and she says, will SAS be totally out of Chap 11?
Great question. Someone who knows their stuff about us. So a little bit about Chapter 11. To answer your question, it is still ongoing, and as far as I understand, there is not a concrete date when we exit. But as like most Chapter 11 processes, it should be soon because there's like this sort of like annual period. So it's on the horizon, if I can answer your question, but I don't have an exact date. That's a little above my pay grade. But if I can just give you some background about that, Anko, who is the president of SAS, is a travel industry veteran, clearly, and has used a similar approach to very successful results. This whole time, SAS has been operational. It is not a matter of liquidity. We have the liquid. It is just a way that we are able to restructure the way that we operate to just, again, create the foundation for a sustainable company in the years to come.
Okay, good to know. Thanks for sharing that, Men. Okay, and then I just had one question actually that I wanted to add. Does SAS offer a travel advisor fare?
Yes, we do. And I don't have the information in this presentation, but as I connect with everyone, and Candace, as you help me connect with everyone, I can give you the information for that. But we do have a travel advisor fare if you would like to experience SAS for yourself.
Okay, great. That's a good thing to know, travel agents. So something to keep in mind. I think that now that you're connected with Men, if you weren't before, there are a few questions on here that I think it would be best if you contacted him directly. And so please feel free to reach out to him, and I'm sure he will be happy to help you. Other than that, we will get this presentation over to you, as well as a link to the recording of this webinar. So you'll have that as well. All this information will be here. And with that, I just want to say, first off, thank you very much to Men and to SAS for being here to give this presentation to our readers. So thank you, Men.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. And it was great having a chance to connect with all the advisors during this time. So I look forward to working with you, and we look forward to partnering with you more closely.
Thank you so much. And thank you also to all our travel agent attendees today. We are so grateful to have you on here and participating with us as always. And we can't wait to see you at the next presentation. So thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful day, rest of day. And don't forget to look up for the follow-up emails where you'll get contact information and the presentation. And if there's anything else you need to know, you can get in touch with us by responding to that email. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.